Hello, and welcome to Victor Rivera's Lars and the Real Girl presentation. This was a beautiful story of teamwork, love, and kindness. And I thought that this was a bit of a psychological fantasy movie in a way, because of the way that the people acted in the movie, the way that people accepted Lars. It was quite interesting. It's hard to imagine that happen in the real world, but at the same time, there's always people with good hearts. And in this story, you want to go on. In this story, there was a problem going on, and the problem was Lars. He became a delusional introvert. He was, only 27 years old, and he kept to himself, just like his dad. He actually lived with his dad until he died, and died at a young age. And it was tough. It was tough for Lars. He grew up lonely, and that's pretty much like the life that he's been living. And the delusion that he had was that he just didn't communicate with people at all, and he ended up falling in love with Bianca, a sex doll. Bianca was supposedly half Brazilian and half Danish, and she's funny. Um, Lars comes up with a lot of funny facts about Bianca, and another interesting fact about Lars was that he was a churchgoer, and I think that's where he um, he got credibility from people. People saw that he went to church. People saw that, he's a good guy. And now, when I connected the film to the readings, I decided to rank like the leaders of the movies, and I thought that the most authentic leader of the movie was Gus. Although like he was one of the people that was following his girlfriend Karen and the decisions, I thought he was very authentic in his attitude and what he thought about the situations. He was usually reluctant to change, and he always expressed himself. He was always straight up about what was going on. He always he always made sure people knew what he was thinking. And but I think he was authentic because he really did care about his brother as well, and he took a step back from being the man of the house in a way to he was the man of the house, but he took a step back and instead of bugging Lars, he supported him, and whatever he promised he would do, he did it. He was a great example of an authentic leader. And I think that Karen was a very passionate leader. And that's why I gave her the awards for being the most flexible and the highest achieving leader of the movie. She definitely went out of her way for Lars. There was a couple scenes in the movie when she had pretty much ran up to Lars when he got home, pretty much, initiated cleaning Bianca whenever she can. She made sure that the people in the community accepted Lars and found people that would accept him. And she was always open and adaptive to new situations. Lars always came up with something new, a new issue with Bianca, a new issue with his attitude and with his delusions. But she always, she understood. She was very open, and she was driven to find improvement for Lars. Her passion in the movie was, incomparable to anybody else. She was always fighting for Lars' betterment, and that's why I think she's the most flexible and the highest achievement of the movie. And I think that the Optimism Award should go to everybody in the town where the Lindstroms received help. There was whenever there's optimism, in order for there to be optimism, there has to be contagious emotions. And I believe that there was an emotion that went across the town, and it showed that they really did care about Lars. And one character that really caught my eye was this character right here. This one is the psychiatrist, and her name is Dogma, and she was very interesting because she was very patient. She was optimistic about finding and seeking improvement in Lars, and she was very intelligent, very well qualified to be a psychologist because she knew what she was doing, and she was definitely an expert, and she was I would say she was a leader because she really handled the situation with Lars and really got into finding out what was the main problem. And sometimes you need to really, she was very good at relating, and because there's one scene in the movie where Lars was saying that he was sad, and a psychiatrist explained the story about how her husband had died, and I believe that she was able to relate to Lars and allow Lars to open up, and that's something that's a characteristic that you definitely need in the leaders, to be personable, and that allows for optimism to occur. And when everybody in the town supported Lars, everybody, even the hospital, took a doll to the. I mean, even the police took the doll to the hospital. I don't know how, in today's world, people would think you're crazy or something. You know what I mean? I don't know who would do that, but it just takes a whole lot of optimism, a whole lot of trust, and I don't know, but that was really interesting how they took a doll to the hospital with. That just shows how optimistic and how team oriented the town was for Lars. And when I read the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, I looked through the chapters and I read them, and they were very interesting, and I found several quotes that were amazing. Who you are is who you attract. Lars was a little bit crazy, at first all he was able to attract was a doll, but when he little by little opened up, he ended up attracting he ended up attracting the girl that he's been looking for. And if you want to attract better people, become the type of person you desire to attract. I think this is one of the most important quotes that defines the movie. I know deep down inside Lars, he did want love. He did want that passion. And by changing himself, and letting go of Bianca, he was able to, become the type of person that he wanted to be, and that allowed him to be with the girl, the real girl. And the law of connection is also important because the tougher the challenge, the greater the connection. And it was a tough challenge for Lars and the psychiatrist, for Karen, for Gus, but they all developed deeper connections with Lars because of it. And the town did as well. I thought that was very beautiful, how the town and everybody supported Lars, and that's really the law of connection right there. That's pretty much the big one of the big meanings behind the movie, is connecting with others. And the town and the people had heart, and they believed in him. Right? And everybody, it was a very emotional movie at the end when they had the funeral and in the church. I seriously almost cried. I was very emotional, and that's stuff like that is what really connects not only the characters of the movie, but people like me and you. And nothing's more important than your inner circle. If it wasn't for Lars's family and his friends and the town, he would not have been able to get out of that delusion. He might have been delusional forever. At one point, Gus thought, "Is this gonna happen forever?" But everybody worked hard and found the solution. They found Lars' real girl. And a leader's potential is determined by those closest to him. Lars, Lars was a lucky man because he was surrounded by people that loved him and they fought for him. And the only way you can reach your highest goals in life is to work hard with people and find people and improve yourself and find people that are going to push you higher and higher, higher off the ground. And I thank you for watching my presentation. I really appreciate you know, watching my presentation. Here's a picture of Bianca. You know, very very pretty. This is now this is Lars' ex-girlfriend. And this one, you know, a few things. Don't forget the importance of teamwork. Without a team, you know, it's hard for amazing things to happen. We can only do so much. As one person, we only have a capacity to do so much, but when we combine our talents with other people, we can pretty much do anything. And it's also important to be authentic if you want to be a credible leader. I thought that Lars was quite authentic in the movie. He always, you know, shared his emotions, like whether it was physically or mentally. He was very transparent. And one quote I like to finish is that Bill Gates said that this is the decade for team leaders to take control. You saw how a team formed in this movie, and they were able to find and figure out Lars' problem, and they helped him out. If it wasn't for that team effort by Gus, Karen, the psychiatrist, and the rest of the town, this might have never happened. This is a beautiful story, and I hope that this is motivation for us. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.